Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Aurora, the first speaker of University of Muhammadiyah, Purwokerto. As the motion today is this house would impoverish corruptor. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are fully support to impoverish corruptor, ladies and gentlemen, because this debate, it's not about whether the punishment is humane or not, ladies and gentlemen. And also, we do not want to care about how the corruptor will live after the punishment, ladies and gentlemen. Why we shouldn't care? Why we shouldn't care? And why we should care about all this corruptor, whether they will be poor or not after they done the punishment, ladies and gentlemen, or whether we should care about how their family life will live their life after the actor or the corruptor done the punishment, ladies and gentlemen. When the corruptor itself, or when they take the action, they do not care about how many and how much impact they take from the society, ladies and gentlemen. Also, a few rebuttal for the opposition team is that, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that we should know is that the opening opposition spread a false concept about justice greatly, ladies and gentlemen. Here, the opening opposition, they define justice as eye-to-eye justice conception, ladies and gentlemen. Or in their side, they mention it as like what you got is what you've done. That is not justice, ladies and gentlemen. That is totally wrong. That is not justice, ladies and gentlemen. That is barbaric, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. And ladies and gentlemen, a few highlight about weaknesses in opening debate is that the opening government they talk about whether or not empowering will somehow stop the crime, ladies and gentlemen, which is corruption. And here, whether the opening opposition cannot catch what our Prime Minister said, ladies and gentlemen, that empowering just make the corruptor as just regular people with the regular power from those people with the big power and a big money, ladies and gentlemen. And this somehow make the opening debate chaotic, ladies and gentlemen. So here, ladies and gentlemen, there are things that is missing in the opening debate. And as a contribution, there are actually two things that is missing in the opening debate, which our team will fill up the hole and the thing that is missing in opening debate. So here, our contribution is to support first whether or not the punishment is proportional to the crime. The secondly, whether or not the punishment bring up better protection to the victim, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So firstly, whether or not the punishment proportional to the crime is that yes, ladies and gentlemen, the punishment which will apply here is fine them by 150% of what they have taken from the action they've done. But we'll just to measure whether it is proportional or not, because when it comes to proportionality, ladies and gentlemen, we have standard here, ladies and gentlemen, to be followed and to be called as a proportional, ladies and gentlemen. And the standard that we mean here is the measurement about how much they will pay according to how much harm they have caused to the society, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, for whether or not this punishment bring up a better protection to the victim, ladies and gentlemen, is another thing that we care about. And here we are trying to protect a bigger actor, which is society, ladies and gentlemen, that is impacted both morally and physically by the act of the corruptor, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, with this proposal, we believe the proposal will increase the rate of a level, the rate or level of public satisfaction to the government. And this is the one thing, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you one thing. And once the satisfaction rate has increased, the principle of criminal justice system will be achieved. And so this is why, ladies and gentlemen, we are the only team that is talking about the two important thing to be applied this motion rather than the opening debate, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rafly and I'm the government whip, and here I'm going to give you some content, which is the first one is about what is the argument that stands. The second one is about the reminding back what is our team contributions to the debate itself and what it is significant. And the third one is about the clash rebuttal between my member of the government to the opening of the oppositions and our team to the closing of the oppositions. And lastly, I will give some conclusions. But first, I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you about what is the arguments that stand. From the beginning of the debate itself, there's a proposal that being proposed by the, how shall I say, the Prime Minister, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, about the giving a fine of the 150% to the corruptor itself. Well, that was proposed by the opening of the government and standing still until now because the opposition team was failed to understanding the goal of the opening government. And the really purpose, which is to fulfill the deterrence aspect of the criminal justice system itself. And both of the opposition team failed to hear the limit of the government team, which is to make the corruptor become an ordinary people. But, ladies and gentlemen, understand this, the opposition team failed to understand that the goal of the Prime Minister itself and giving of false interpretations, which they think like this and gentlemen, that the government team will really make the corruptor become poor people, and this 150% of fine is still. That's why the argument is still standing right now. The arguments that saying the 100% of fine is still standing, and for the corruptor itself. Well, the second one I will tell you about our team contributions. Okay, there are a lot of things that. There are two things that really standing on the our team contributions, and the first one is the member of the government saying that giving a new aspect of the criminal justice system for the debate itself, which is about whether or not the punishment is proportional to the crime and whether or not this punishment bring up better protections to the victim itself. Okay, the first one saying that whether or not this punishment is proportional to the crime, the member of the government saying that with fine of 150% to give this punishment whether it is proportional or not with what have the character have done, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, about this whether or not this punishment bring up better protections to the victim. Well, as we know, the member of the government saying that with this fine of 150% itself to the corruptor, it will protect the society and fulfill the aspect of the criminal justice system, and the public will trust the law because of the fulfilled aspect of this criminal justice system and because it's achievable. It's become much more realistic, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I will tell you about our clash rebuttal between the member of the government and between the opening of the oppositions. Okay, the argumentations of the opening of the oppositions is illogical because what's happened on the status quo itself, the member of the government already stating the aspect of whether or not the punishment is proportional to the crime, and we can use some analogy about this. Like this, ladies and gentlemen, the status quo is not already done, and to be honest, it's not even effective. If it was effective, then the corruptor member on our country will be more or less or even disappear. Then we know what happened in the reality itself. It is not even growing smaller, but it's still going on a large number itself, ladies and gentlemen. And by giving the new aspect from this criminal justice system, we believe that we give more than enough proportional principle to win this debate. And before I close the debate, the closing of the opposition is failed to give some rebuttal to the member of the government because the closing of the oppositions don't giving any rebuttals or even new arguments or anything else. And before I close this debate, we as the closing debate of the government team can say we agree to the motions, which is that we have to impoverish the corruptor by giving a fine about 150% to the corruptor and make them as an ordinary person. Thank you so much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.